This podcast is brought to you by Mid West ARIES, Advancing Recovery in Ireland Education Service. Due to Covid-19 restrictions, we're offering recovery education in alternative ways. Mid West ARIES is supported by HSC, Midwest Community Healthcare, Mental Health Ireland and communities across Limerick, Clare and North Tipperary. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this discussion on staying active. I'm Eileen Cunningham, Manager at Mid West ARIES, and I'm joined today by two of our Recovery Education Facilitators, Michelle and Killian. Thanks to the two of you for being here. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself first?
And Eileen, thanks for having me. My name is Michelle O'Connor and I am a staff volunteer with ARIES, and I'm an employment specialist between Employability Limerick and Willowdale Day Hospital, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. And how about Killian?
Hi Eileen, thanks a million for inviting me on. It's great to chat about staying active. So I suppose a little bit about me. I am a personal trainer day to day, and I just recently finished the peer support course in Dublin and DCU. So hopefully once COVID-19 is finished, I'll be transitioning more into the peer support role in time. So yeah, that's about me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So thanks to the two of you for being here. So just a little background for people. During an online module we ran recently, people spoke a lot about the importance of routine and staying both physically and mentally active while keeping within restrictions around COVID-19. So today I'm going to be asking Cillian and Michelle for their insights into staying active mentally and physically and being productive at a time when many people are staying at home a lot more and are finding perhaps that their worlds have become somewhat smaller. So with the necessary restrictions at the moment, our normal routines have probably been impacted. And at all times we know that staying active is important, but perhaps in our current situation it has never been more so. So I'll start by asking you both for 2 or 3 specific examples of what you've been doing to stay active, either physically or mentally, since restrictions were brought in. I might start with you, Killian, this time.
Yeah, no worries. I suppose it's just being able to adapt to the new norm, and it's being able to do the things that are still in my control that I'm able to do. And for example, I've been going out to go for walks, going out into nature, doing home workouts, even creating my own or following them on YouTube. And then I suppose for my mental health, I've been doing things I would normally do pre-COVID-19, and that's like practicing gratitude, journaling, I suppose speaking to friends and family on video calls, FaceTime, just to keep that, I suppose, connection alive. And when you chat to someone, you definitely feel that a sense that I know we're all experiencing waves of different emotions, but you're not alone in this situation. And it's important not to go through this whole situation on your own, just to be able to speak and be able to verbalize what's going on as well. So there are a few tips that I've been using for mental and physical health, I suppose. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that's really important to make sure that we're doing things that are within our control, but also if there are things that have worked for you in the past, stay doing them and keep that routine mentally as well. So thank you, Cillian. Michelle, how about you? Are there any specific examples of things you've been doing to stay active since the restrictions were brought in?
Yeah, and I think like what Cillian said, it is kind of adjusting to the new normal. And I think I definitely would have done a lot of kind of going to the gym and different group classes, which obviously we can't do. And kind of doing that home workouts actually didn't really work for me. So I think for a while I went through that, okay, how do I stay active? But also kind of accept that that doesn't work for me. So I definitely think I got into kind of doing things like cleaning out my wardrobe and organising my physical space. That kind of helps me mentally feel decluttered, arranging kind of the hard kitchen cupboards that were all over the place, and even just like organising photos, like having hundreds of photos, and I have albums that I could be organising and get those type of things done. And like Cillian said, getting back into writing, because I was a big writer for years, and then suddenly it's kind of I don't have time, whereas now we do have the time. I think I've really been focusing on not only doing the walks, but just being active in the space I have around me. And hopefully when everything is back to a little bit of more normality, it'll be a nice kind of calmer space at home as well.
That's really good, because people sometimes forget that the space around them is important to keep it decluttered and make it a nice space to be in. Speaking about writing there, I know the two of you wrote 2 lovely pieces for our Messages of Hope resource that we created with facilitators as well. So keep it up. I look forward to reading more. So what's natural for people. Sometimes we hear all the things that we should be doing, but it can be quite normal as well to maybe not feel motivated. Have either of you found it challenging to stay active over the last month or so? Or have you found it challenging just in general to keep doing things? Or have there been times where you've said, do you know what, I'm going to give myself a break here for a little while as well? Michelle?
Yeah. And even coming up to doing this podcast, I kind of had that moment of, am I doing enough to talk about this? So I think it's something that I'm influenced heavily a lot by social media as well. Like a lot of people I follow online, they're trying things like knitting and baking and things that I don't like doing and don't want to do, but all of a sudden I feel like I should be doing. So I definitely think we do beat ourselves up a lot about it. And it was only when I reflected back on things that I have been doing when I was preparing for this podcast that I kind of was like, no, I am doing a good bit. And like accepting the days that if I'm not motivated, like that's absolutely fine. We have plenty more days ahead of us that I can do those kind of days of being productive, because the days that you enjoy it are the days you should be doing it, and just trying to be gentle with yourselves on the day that you don't want to do it as well. So yeah, it's definitely been challenging. I think it's good to accept that and make that a more kind of universal experience that people feel nicer to themselves about it.
Okay. So that might be good for other people to hear, that it can be challenging. And there has been a lot of talk of use this time to do this and that and get everything done. But some days you just might not feel like doing that. Cillian, we know that you stay quite active, and you even mentioned there about being a personal trainer, but have you found it challenging at times in the last month or so to keep that up?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. I think definitely motivation has dipped a little bit for me, but I think people just kind of need to realize that motivation will dip, and I think it's just being able to embrace the days that you are really motivated. Like even for example, going out for a walk the other day, I didn't want to go, but I just weighed up all the positive things that will happen if I do go for the walk. And I was 5-10 minutes into the walk and I was really, really enjoying it. And it was so much better than sitting at home and doing nothing. So I think it's just building on the routines and doing the best you can with each day. And like Michelle said, it's just being a bit kinder to yourself, that you don't have to be like, there will be days where you don't feel like doing anything, but even if it's something small, like 5-10 minutes of activity, and again, just being kind to yourself that you did it, and being compassionate that you have the ability to do it day to day as well.
Yeah, definitely having that compassion with yourself is definitely important when it comes to maybe not feeling motivated. So even off the top of your heads, you've given some really good advice there around what people might do if they're feeling a bit stuck with regards to staying productive or staying active. Is there one kind of solid piece of advice that you would give somebody if they are feeling stuck at the moment in terms of feeling motivated? Cillian?
Yeah, I suppose for myself, at the start of each day, I suppose I set out what I need to do for that particular day, and I just try my hardest to do the hardest task first. And I set a timer maybe for 25 minutes, and I usually set 25 minutes, 5 minutes of a break, and then go at it again. So I think it's called the Pomodoro technique. I don't know, has anyone come across it before, but it's just a really handy tool that I know I only have 25 minutes to do, and then I get a 5-minute break, and if I get the work done, all the better. But you'll feel so much accomplished. And I think it's about celebrating all the small wins, the small victories each day that will eventually add up to get you to where you need to be. I think it's just being, again, kinder to yourself, that the small daily steps will all lead to where you need to be. So I think that's what I've been kind of doing, just doing the hardest task first, and being compassionate to myself that I'm able to do it as well,
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that piece of advice. So that's the Pomodoro technique?
Yeah.
Definitely one I'm going to be looking up, and I'm sure others will be now as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
No worries.
Michelle, do you have one solid piece of advice that you might give to people if they're feeling stuck around staying productive and staying active?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've found really helpful is to have a kind of a one-day kind of thing that's non-negotiable that you have to do. So even for myself, like I have to walk my dog every evening, whether it's raining or I don't want to or I do want to. That's just a non-negotiable thing that I have to do. So I think once you know, and anything else I do is kind of a plus. So if I do go out for a run, or if I do anything else, that's great. But once I'm kind of doing my one non-negotiable in the evening, at least I know I've done kind of something that had to be done. And usually it is easier when you do something for someone else. So like that, it's kind of for the dog's sake versus mine. Or I'm kind of looking at a lot. I've signed up for a few charity things as well. Within kind of that go by the restrictions, whether it's kind of the run 5k, nominate 5 people, or I'm doing another charity kind of event in 2 weeks with kind of step challenge. So I think doing something for someone else makes it easier to do something, and you do feel great yourself afterwards.
And there's the benefits for you as well. We know that helping others and volunteering and giving of ourselves for others can have a knock-on effect that's really positive for our mental health. So it's great to hear that you're getting involved in those things. Are you walking the dog within 2 kilometres of home?
Of course. So we're doing lots of circles. So he's getting very bored. But yeah, he's loving having us home. So it's a healthy mix, healthy balance.
It's good to have. Okay. People are cocooning though at the minute, and some people can't leave their house. Has there been anything you've come across that you'd recommend that might help those people staying active or staying productive if they can't actually get out and go for that walk, or if they can't go volunteer or anything? Have either of you come across anything?
I think even like the online courses that you're doing, the ARIES courses are the first thing that I've been telling everyone about, because being able to connect with others and also look at ways to mind your mental health is amazing. So I've been telling so many people about that. There's definitely ways to kind of connect online that I think are becoming more and more accessible for, it doesn't matter about the age group. And even for people in my own circle, I've been kind of saying, listen, I'll ring and talk you through it online so that you have help with it. Again, like I mentioned, everything about the physical space, clearing out the wardrobe. And I have found something really helpful for me, even if I'm not leaving the house. Something that makes me feel really good in the morning is putting on mascara, putting on perfume, even though I'm not leaving the house, no one's going to see me. It makes me feel like there's a sense of normality in my life. So I think even if you're not leaving, like, it's different for everyone, even if it's just like putting hair gel if you're a guy or whatever. If it makes you feel better and more normal, then do that. Don't be worried about like, oh, I'm wasting products for nothing. I think it's really important to do whatever you need to do to feel good in yourself.
Excellent. Yeah, there are things maybe that people don't think about, because when you're not leaving the house every day, you might be inclined to stop paying attention to kind of looking after yourself. Yeah. So good point for people. Cillian, for people that are maybe cocooning or not leaving the house or can't leave the house for now, is there anything you've come across that you'd say would be a really good piece of advice for them?
Yeah, similar to what Michelle was saying, is just the online courses as well. I've been kind of dabbling into, I like photography, so there's lots of different, like there's even free photography courses online that I've been doing over the last number of weeks. And again, like Michelle said, it's just getting up, showering, getting dressed, and as if you're going off for a normal day as well. And that's so important as well, not to sit around and be laying about all day. I think it's important to try and be as normal and into routine as possible if you can, and even if you are working from home or something like that, get dressed as if you're going to work as well. And that's the main thing, and just not lay about in your pajamas or whatever else. I think that's the main thing. That's what I found.
It's so important to get up every day and have that routine and try to stick to it. But also, like we said earlier, not to beat ourselves up if we don't get to something on the to-do list, or if we don't get to do something that we had intended on doing that day. So it's to keep all of those things in mind. Okay, so we are coming towards the end of our discussion today. So really, I wanted to finish up and ask you one last question. Over the last few weeks, there's been a number of different topics that have come up as suggestions for podcasts, but you both volunteered to take part in this one. So I was kind of just wondering, out of curiosity, why was this topic of staying active, staying productive so important to you? So we might start with you, Cillian, this time.
Yeah, I suppose I know how beneficial being active is. Being a personal trainer, they'd say, I know how it positively contributes to my own mental health day to day, and I feel so much better when I do get in that activity. I feel accomplished. I feel that I've achieved something through the day, and it just has a knock-on effect on everything. I have more energy. I'm definitely more productive when I get in the activity, and I feel that I can accomplish things throughout the day. And I definitely recommend again, for anyone that is kind of looking to get into activity, just start small. So you don't have to necessarily say to yourself, I'm going to do 4, 5, 6 sessions of training a week. Just start small, do 1, 2 a week, and just build from there. And it's the consistency will come, and you'll build up better habits over time. So yeah, I think that's
okay. Thank you, Cillian. And I know, like, you're a recovery education facilitator with us, but if people were interested in linking into maybe some of the advice or the tips that you give around personal training or staying active, is there somewhere they could find some of that information?
Yeah, I suppose I have a website, KillianKeenFitness.com, and then my Instagram is @CKFitness1. So people can follow me there. I just put up even mental health kind of content, fitness content, nutrition stuff. So people can follow me there. And I always give kind of real life examples as well for people that will positively impact people day to day and what they can easily implement into their own life as well. So
that's great. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Eileen. Cheers.
And Michelle, why was this topic so important to you?
I think I picked this one because I'm someone in my own circle personally. My friends and family would always say, you're always on the go, you can never just relax. On my days off, I can never just stay in the house. So I think this has been a challenge for me, and it's definitely been something that I've really had to accept, being at home, and that I can be active in different ways and that's okay. So I definitely think I wanted to talk on it just to be able to connect with others, to kind of say, if you are that type of person that always does have to be on the go, you can still find fulfillment at home in different ways. And just to kind of give different ideas and say, I'm struggling here with you, but we can do it, and we're still active people in different ways.
Thank you so much. That's important for people to hear, that we're all experiencing this in different ways, but we're all experiencing it together. So with that, we've reached the end of today's conversation. I'd like to thank Cillian and Michelle for joining me, and thank you for taking the time to listen to us. We'll be back with more discussions around mental health and well-being over the coming weeks. But I think a few points that we can take from today are that we should try to do things that are within our control, keep doing things that have worked for us in the past, to really work on keeping our connections alive, organize our physical space, even that idea of organizing old photographs, starting something new like writing or photography, doing something that you have to do every day like walking the dog, and celebrating the small wins. I think that's a really good point, to make sure that if we get little things done throughout the day, that we acknowledge that for ourselves and take that from our day. I would also say, you mentioned online courses, connecting online and doing things to feel good about yourself throughout the day. Have I missed something? The Pomodoro technique.
Yeah,
that's another one. So there has been so much in such a short conversation that will hopefully help people when they have a listen to us. I would like to finish up by thanking the two of you for joining me today. Thank you.
Thanks, Cillian.
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you for joining us today. You can keep up to date with more resources and courses on Mid West ARIES Twitter, Instagram and YouTube accounts. And remember to access hsc.ie or gov.ie for accurate information regarding Covid-19. For now, from us and all in the Mid West ARIES team, stay safe and take care.